folks, Rory here with another car boot comic book hunting video. Went to two sales this morning. I found loads at the very first one, and the second one I only found one item, but what I found at the second one was fantastic. So yeah, not a lot of stuff, but some really good quality stuff. So firstly, I went to one stall and they had piles and piles of comics on there, including a bunch of graphic novels, and I spent a fiver, and for a fiver I got a really great little haul. So I got book 2 of the Dark Knight 3, the Master Race, and it's sealed, and the Jim Lee variant sketch. You might have seen one of the previous videos where I found one of those in Blackpool. So that's another one of them in the set. I got the complete Grant Morrison Batman Incorporated run in one graphic novel, which is nice. Uncanny X-Men versus Shield, which was part of the Brian Bendis run, led into the original Sin era of Marvel. All New X-Men Here to Stay, which I think was the second or third volume. In fact, I should be able to have a look at the back. Yeah, second volume, because it starts at issue 6. That's also runs concurrent with the Uncanny X-Men one that I just showed you. Basically, this was where they brought the original 5 X-Men from the 60s to present day, and then also an Avengers issue. This was all from the same one, but as you can see, it's a beautiful silver holofoil cover. Issue 369, and it's for the X-Men and Avengers crossover Blood Ties. So that's pretty awesome. One of the things that I collect more than anything is Avengers comics. X-Men comics and Avengers comics. And the last one that I got from the same pile, which again, this one only came to a fiver for them all, the complete Matt Fraction Uncanny X-Men, and it's literally every issue that he did, which was 11 issues, and then a couple of annuals, and a couple of one-shots and stuff that all tie in. So it's really good. So yeah, that was off one stall, and as I said, that was a fiver. The very next stall to it had a box of comics, and they were 4 for £1. So I've got these, and this, yeah, bear in mind, this was only £1. So one's an old issue of World's Finest, which is the Superman and Batman crossover, and the advert on the back is an old Masters of the Universe one from 1983. The advert is, so I'm assuming that the comics are in the same year. But either way, it's all good. Spider-Man Classics issue 4, which is when Marvel started reprinting the original 60s Marvel stuff with new covers and stuff. So in theory, you watch me be wrong, but it should have it has. The inside is basically a reprint of the classic 60s stuff. So all the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko work. So I've had this one mainly because it's exactly what I assumed it was, which is fantastic. So that's 2 of the 4 mentioned. Also, I got this thing called Within Our Reach, which is like a little graphic novel. You see it's got the names on the sign. It basically says Within Our Reach from the Friends of Star Reach, which, I'll be honest, I've never heard of this before. I don't know who it is. I don't know what Star Reach is or anything like that. Okay, it's a flip book. Okay. Yeah, so it's like that, but then flips over to that. Okay. It says Star Reach Productions and such, Dark Horse, and yeah. And then the second, so I'm just flicking over just to see what it says. Spider-Man used with permission, sort of thing. So yeah, so it's a rare Spidey crossover, which is great, and a graphic novel flip book. So that's pretty damn awesome. Oh, and the last thing was Brian Azzaro and Jim Lee at Superman for Tomorrow, which yeah, great. Those 4 cost me £1, so I can't complain about them in the slightest. And then on my way out, I picked up one last graphic novel, which I've just seen some of the pages are folded. Just give me a second. But essentially, this is one that I've got. I think I've reviewed it for this channel as well. But it was 50p, and it's fantastic. It's Batman: The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. One of my all-time favourite graphic novels, and what I tend to do with that is there's certain books, that one and Watchmen, to where whenever I see them, pick them up regardless of how many copies I've got at home. And normally, if any of my friends start getting into comics, I recommend them those, and then I'll either give or lend them those books, so that I'm not worried if they don't come back, if you know what I mean. So yes, that was 50, that Batman one was 50p. So that was everything I got from the first car boot. From the second car boot, I was there for about 40 minutes and didn't find out anything. And then when I was on the way back to the car, a store had popped up and it had a big stack of comics on there, but they wanted between £3 and £5 each on them, and it was all stuff that I wasn't that bothered by. Still had a look through, and then found something that, as a comic book collector, is it's just like one of those holy grail sort of items, and it's basically the Uncanny X-Men and New Teen Titans crossover from 1982, first printing. Yeah, and this was £3, and at that sort of price, they're amazing. But essentially, this was the crossover between X-Men and Titans when they took on Darkseid. See, there's his big beautiful face. And previously, I've had this as a reprint that I got during the 90s when it was the Marvel and DC crossover. They reprinted a load of the old crossovers, but these were always really difficult to come by. Mainly because, well, Marvel and DC didn't do crossovers that often back then. I think this was the only major one in the 80s. The Spider-Man and Superman one was 70s, and then the 90s they did the full-on Marvel versus DC, and then I think we had to wait another 10 years before we got the Avengers and X-Men one, and then nothing since. So it's rare that they do these. They did it, aside from, as I say, the 90s where they just threw a load together in the space of like one year. But yeah, very pleased with this. As I mentioned, I'm an X-Men collector as well. I'm also a not quite New Teen Titans, but I've got like a load of choice graphic novels. So I've got like the Judas Contract and things like that. In fact, I've got the Judas Contract signed by Wolfman somewhere. But yeah, so very happy with this. Awesome magazine to find. And that's everything really. That's all I got. So normally on previous videos you'll have seen things like Funkos to join that wall and video games and stuff like that, and a few collectible figures and stuff, but yeah, literally just comics today, but they were all great. So certainly enough for me to justify doing one of these videos. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that crap, and I will post another one of these whenever I'm successful in finding anything good. So yeah, in a bit.